Hello and welcome to week 3, everyone. I am health coach Adam Potash. I am very excited for y'all to be joining me today. Week 3, we're almost at our halfway point. At the end of this week, it'll be our halfway point. We've only had 2 weigh-ins so far. I hope you guys have seen some weight loss in the last couple of weeks. I hope you're feeling great, looking great. I'm enjoying some of the feedback on Facebook and getting lots of great emails so far. So very excited to be with you on this journey. This week is a very important week. We're discussing sugars, our kryptonite. It's everywhere we turn. So we're going to deal with some sugar addictions and some sugar cravings, see how we can battle these in a very educated and sustainable way. All right, so let's just dive in here. 10 tips for dealing with sugar addiction. So number 1 on this list, reduce or eliminate caffeine. I know this is a very tough one for most of you. Our go-to regimen is having coffee in the morning. I'm hoping that you guys are having it black as according to the approach. So reduce or eliminate caffeine. The reason for this is caffeine is number 1 going to dehydrate us. So it's going to spike our blood sugar and then it's going to drop our blood sugar. So this is not a great way for dealing with sugar and sugar addictions. So if you can eliminate it or at least limit the amount of caffeine you're intaking, it'll help you tremendously with dealing with some of these sugar addictions and sugar cravings. Next on this list, drinking lots of water. Obviously, sweet cravings are a huge sign of being dehydrated. So before you reach for that candy bar, think to yourself, hey, have I had enough water today? Am I drinking 32 ounces in the morning, another about 32 ounces in the afternoon? We're shooting for about 60 to 70 ounces of water throughout the day. So next time that craving pops up, think about, have I had enough water today? All right. Naturally sweet vegetables will help aid in some sugar addictions and sugar cravings. So things like carrots, bananas, eat those before you go to the processed item. It'll do the trick. Trust me. Obviously avoid anything chemical, artificial sweeteners. Get rid of all those packets. Get rid of the blue, the green, the red, anything that's processed, get rid of it. I'm talking about your Truvias, your Stevias. I know they say that they're natural, but they're processed over 40 times. And they pack a punch. They're about 200 to 300 times more powerful than just regular sugar. So get rid of that stuff. Next on this list, physical activity. All right, so I know we've talked about eliminating or at least limiting the physical activity during the first weeks of this program, and I hope you've done that. Things like walking, yoga are definitely okay. You can still do those. Walking 10 minutes a day, gradually increase that is fine by me. Being active helps with blood sugar levels, okay? So you get that natural source of energy rather than going to a sugar for a pick-me-up. Keep that in mind next time you're, again, reaching for that candy bar or have that sugar craving pop into your head. Make sure you're getting a little bit more physical activity, especially if you have a job that's sitting all day. Next on the list, get more sleep. Now, if I had a health coach, this would be the first thing that he would tell me is to get more sleep. I am not a huge or a great sleeper by any means. Let me just read this off to you. Simple carbohydrates such as sugar are the most readily available source of energy for an exhausted body. So again, dealing with lack of sleep, your body's going to crave things to keep it going. And usually in the way of a candy bar is something not so great for you. So getting plenty of sleep, getting that natural energy that you need will aid in some of this sugar addiction. So evaluate the amount of animal foods you're eating. A lot of times when I see clients in my exclusive program, they are limiting the amount of animal proteins they're getting just naturally. During the approach, you'll see a lot of times that you'll go to more of a vegetable-based or vegetarian-based diet anyways. This just happens when we try and get more nutrients in our body. So just find that balance. Make sure you're getting a lot of nutrients from vegetable and plant-based sources. Unless you're, working on running a marathon or something of the sort, you don't need that much animal protein. A lot of times you're getting enough protein in vegetables anyhow. Eliminate fat-free or low-fat items. So Back in the 90s, early 2000s, you saw these fat-free, no-fat items popping up everywhere, and it was the worst thing they could have done for this country. We gained so much weight by thinking that, oh, number one, that this if a food was titled fat-free, we could eat as much as we want of it. So not true. Number two is that these foods were just being masked into sweeteners. So they were eliminating fat, but adding in other sources. And as we know now, sugars just turn into fat. Our body's only job is to turn sugar into fat. One of my favorite things on this list is cooking with spices. Experiment, guys. Take out the spice rack. Go to town. Use things like coriander, cumin, cinnamon, nutmeg. You name it. Number one, these spices have sweet qualities to it, so it's going to aid in that, again, that sugar addiction. And number two, you're going to be getting flavorful meals without adding fats and sweeteners that you normally would. Last on this list is slow down. Yes, I know this is a tough one. We all need to slow down. We're, racing the kids here and there. We're working, those 10 and 12-hour days. But trust me, cravings have a psychological tendency or a psychological component. You're going to want to slow down. Once you start doing this and appreciating, more of the balance of life, you're going to see less and less cravings. Take my word for it. I would work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, getting no sleep. And until I took this practice into my own life is when I started seeing less and less cravings and less need for sugar. So just to piggyback what we just talked about, 8 causes of cravings. Number 1 on this list is lack of primary foods. This is talking about that circle of life that you filled out week 1, trying to balance or make that life as full and complete as possible. So anytime portions of that circle are lacking, we're going to see more cravings. Our bodies are going to adjust and kind of compensate for things that we're lacking in. Water, again, so important on the water. Hopefully, again, you're getting that 32 ounces in the morning. Being dehydrated can manifest hunger. As we all know, we've been there, done that before. So you'll make sure you're getting plenty of water. Yin-yang imbalance. This is just talking about, getting foods that are too yin versus too yang. Just getting a balance in food again. Discussing animal foods. Are you getting enough? Are you not getting enough? Vegetables, are you getting enough nutrients in your diet on a daily basis? Inside coming out. That's one of my favorite things on this list. One of the analogies I give are, have you ever been driving down like the highway and you see a billboard sign for, something that you had as a kid? Maybe it was like mac and cheese or, Little Debbie's, things like that. And man, that is stuck in your head until you kind of like curb that craving with something not so great. So this is inside coming out. This is basically your childhood kind of rearing its ugly head on some of those bad items that you had when you were a kid. Seasonal items, obviously, as seasons change, we crave different things. In wintertime, we see those pumpkin ads or pumpkin spice popping up everywhere. Lack of nutrients. This is just a natural defense for our body to crave things if it's lacking in other areas. Hormonal. Last on this list, and probably most important, de-evolution. We feel that sometimes when things are going so well for us, we self-sabotage. Don't do this. You guys deserve every moment in doing this program. You deserve all the weight loss. You deserve to feel well. You deserve to look well. Trust me, don't self-sabotage. It's almost like that buyer's remorse system, when we feel like we got that brand new car, then we drive it off the lot, and we're like, man, do we really deserve this? Yes, you deserve it. Don't self-sabotage yourself. All right, next up, how much sugar are we consuming? You're going to want to watch the next video. It's a sugar demonstration. It's one of my favorite weeks when I go into someone's home and give them a demonstration of how much sugar is in some of their common household items. It's unbelievable to see a visual of some of these things. So you're going to want to watch the video. But let's go on here. So how much sugar is in a candy bar? 24 grams, or about 6 teaspoons of sugar in a single candy bar. Can of soda, about 7 teaspoons of sugar. A pint of ice cream. We've all sat there at one point or another in our life and have consumed a pint of ice cream. So in a whole pint, 21 grams of sugar in a pint of ice cream. A liter of soda, 31 grams, and I believe that's on the lower side. 31 grams of sugar in a liter of soda. 2 pancakes and a little bit of syrup, 9 teaspoons of sugar. Single cookie, chocolate chip cookie, 4.5 teaspoons of sugar. So again, a lot of sugar in some of these items. You just want to be mindful of how much sugar you're consuming on a daily basis. Okay, so here's a list of some sweet vegetables. These will definitely help curb some of those cravings for you, obviously in a nice, natural way. Obviously, it's containing a lot of nutrient value on top of that. So take this list down, try and incorporate them in your daily routine, in your meals, so on and so forth. Last thing I want to mention are some of those natural sweeteners as well. Things like honey, birch syrup, agave nectar. I have a list ready for you guys to print out at your discretion. One thing I want you to take from this entire lesson this week is that sugar is sugar is sugar. Please don't forget that. It doesn't matter what form it's coming from. If it's coming from rare bees from the Himalayan mountains, it doesn't matter. Your body processes sugar in the exact same way every time. Now, obviously, some natural sweeteners will have a little more benefit than others, but for the most part, sugar is sugar is sugar. Your body's going to process it and turn it into fat. All right, homework for the week. Last week's homework was put down the fork. Some of you may have found that a little challenging. It's a little more challenging than you might think. It takes a little getting used to, but hopefully it slowed you down a little bit. You became a little more mindful when you were eating. You didn't have to do it both meals, just asked you to choose one or the other to do it. And again, hopefully after a few days, it became a habit for you. Week before that, you were food logging. So the combination of food logging, putting down the fork, and now I'm going to add this week's homework, which is chewing. So the average American chews about 8 to 10 times before we start swallowing our food. We are supposed to chew our food about 40 to 50 times. Now, listen, I know that if I told you to chew 40 to 50 times, you would end this program and never want to talk to me again. So that's not what I want you to do here. What I want you to do is just be mindful of how many times you are chewing. The reason we have these big teeth in our mouth is to break down and do all the work instead of our digestive system doing most of the work. So what I want you to do this week is simply just count. See if you can get past 10, 12, see how many times you're chewing. Maybe it's not as much as you think you are. Just be mindful of how much you're chewing. Take count a few times, and hopefully you get to increase naturally how many times you're chewing your food before you start swallowing. All right. Hope you guys have a great week this week. If you guys have any questions, please don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Join that closed Facebook group. I know it's been working well for a lot of people. I've been getting a lot of emails as well. Hopefully we're answering all your questions for you. Again, have a great week, and we'll see you soon.